Hi, I'm Callum from Tyne Valley Motorhomes, and this is the handover of a Chausson best of 10. So starting off with your gas locker, to operate any of the locks on the vehicles you've got two keys here. One will be for your water and one will be for your habitation lock, so you'll be able to open all your side lockers and your habitation door. Using the key you can open this locker, open the door, and in there we've got our test bottle on board to show you how your gas works. So that is a 6 kilogram propane colour bottle, and what you do is when you put your bottle on, you want to connect this pipe, which is known as the pigtail. So to connect the pigtail, this is a hand tighten pigtail, so it's opposite threads with it being gas, so left to tighten, right to loosen, and you would just hand tighten it, nip it up, turn the cylinder on from the top of the bottle, making sure that you turn the cylinder off when you've finished using your gas and you're ready to drive, and make sure that the bottle is securely fastened in with the straps top and bottom to stop the bottle from moving around in the gas locker when you're travelling. In here you've got your garage space, so you can see you've got your carb carpets, your motorhome carpets, your owner winding handle, your internal silver screens, and just underneath you do have your wastewater handle. So this is your wastewater release, so you'd pull and release the water out. This is any water you've used, which is dishes water, hand basin water, sink water and shower water. Drop it over the grid on the way out of your site to get rid of your dirty water, because you don't want to be carrying this round, as it adds weight to the vehicle, and it will also use more fuel. At the back of the vehicle you do have your cassette locker. Again, with the habitation key you'll be able to open this. Release the hatch, lift the orange handle and slide the cassette out of the vehicle. You can either carry it or you can wheel it, depending on how heavy it is, and you can take it to the waste disposal point, which is normally beside your toilet block. And then to empty, all you need to do is take the cap off the top of the cassette, put that to one side, press the orange button at the back, stops it glugging when pouring, pour the content of the cassette out. Once you've done that, put some water in, give it a rinse, tip out again, and then go in with a cap full of chemical, which is either blue or green, into your cassette, and it's good to go back into the motorhome. To operate your Fiamma bike rack on the back of the vehicle, this is a 2 bike racks. So pull it down, put your wheels on the rails, put these through the spokes to tie the wheels down, but put the bikes the other way around, so one way, one the other way, to get them on the bike rack, and then these through the crossbars, first bike and second bike, and then put some sort of bike lock around the frame and around the bike rack, just to avoid the bikes from being stolen when left unattended. And you do have your twin lens reversing camera on the top there. Coming down the passenger side of the vehicle, so the first point you get to on here is your hookup point. So when you arrive on your site, the first thing you want to do once you park the vehicle up is turn your gas on and hook the vehicle up. So to hook it up, you get your hookup lead, lift your collar, slide it on there. This connects the vehicle to mains. Connect the motorhome first, then the mains, and do it in reverse order when unhooking, so that you're never walking around with a live lead. And when you pull into your site, you'll want to, if you haven't already got any water on board, get some water on board. So before you find your pitch, get your hose pipe out the back, connect it to that tap and fill the vehicle with water if you're not on a super pitch. Pop the hose into there and wait until it overflows, or until you're happy there's enough water on board the vehicle, which will tell you on the main control panel how much fresh water is in your freshwater tank. Underneath the vehicle you can drain this off, so in the winter when you're winterising it, all you need to do is this white little dial here on the valve, turn that, and that will drain off your fresh water just behind the skirt. Making sure that you leave the vehicle empty of all water in the winter to avoid frost damage, which would be fresh water, wastewater and your boiler. When you're operating your boiler, which is your water heater, on gas, heating your water, this cover needs to come off because it doesn't allow the fumes out the side of the vehicle and it will fail. When you're using it on electric, this cover can stay on, and when you're travelling, pop the cover on. So the best place for the cover is in the passenger door pocket. But to take the cover off, hand on the top, thumb in the middle, peel it off. That'll allow the fumes, when operating on gas, out of the flue, out the side of the vehicle. By the passenger door, this is where you'd fill with diesel using the main Ford Transit key. You've got a lockable cap, then you can fill with diesel fuel. Underneath the passenger seat is where you'll find your leisure battery, and underneath the driver's seat, with it being a Transit, is where the engine battery lives. And then to open the bonnet of the vehicle using the Ford key, you put it in just above the Ford badge, turn it to your left, pop the bonnet, and then to release it, turn it to the right. And underneath the bonnet you have got your various fluids. So you've got your power steering fluid, your brake fluid, your coolant and your screen wash, followed by your jump starting points for your positive terminal here, and your negative you just earth off the side of the engine block here. So this point here, the engine hoist, will get a good earth on here, and that'll jump start the vehicle. Weight plate, so 3.5 ton gross train weight, a ton behind it, which is your tone weight, so it's your train weight, and then your front and back axle weight, and then that little number here is your unique build number. So if you ever need any parts for the vehicle, quote that number and we'll be able to get the right parts. To operate your 12 volt control panel, so first of all, if you are hooked up, you'll get this little light on here, which means you are receiving 240 volt from hookup. If you haven't got that light on, it just means that you're running off your leisure battery, so it'll only be 12 volt. Then you can turn your master switch on, which is this switch here, and then underneath you've got your awning light, which is on the outside of the vehicle, and your pump. So turn your pump on, making sure that you've got enough water on board before you turn your pump on, otherwise you can damage the pump if you want to be using it without any water in the vehicle. This side you've got your interior lights, so that's the master switch for your interior lights. Then they all are switched around the vehicle individually. Fresh water, so you've got half a tank of fresh water on board. Zero waste, because that would illuminate red. And this is your batteries, so you've got leisure battery, vehicle battery, and these fresh water, and your interior light master switch. So to operate your grill, got a light here, gas valve on the bottom, ignition on the top. Give it a couple of clicks, making sure you've got your gas on, and it will light and then release when the thermocouple's got warm after a couple of seconds, just to allow the gas to continue to come through. Otherwise, if you've done it too quick, it will shut off just because the thermocouple hasn't got warm enough. And that is your grill. Underneath you do have your Thetford fridge freezer, so you've got a separate freezer box to your large fridge, and then the control panel in the middle is how it all works. So you've got an on off button here, so this is how you turn your fridge. So if you are packing up and you were going home and there was nothing in there that needed to stay cool when traveling, you can turn it off. And you can turn it off when it's parked up and not in use. So you turn it back on. Now you can see that it's on mains and the temperature's on full. So mains 240 volt, but if you wanted to change the source, you'd press and hold the square button until it flashes and use the arrows. So you've got battery, which is off the engine when it's running. It'll send a feed to act like a giant cool box, so it's got to be down to temperature first, and then you can ignite it on the battery setting, which is a 12 volt feed from the engine, like I've said. But you've got to pre-chill it before on electric. put your shopping in the night before, allow that to chill, and then put it onto battery when you're travelling. It'll keep it nice and fresh until you arrive at your site, or you can go back onto gas. So gas is there, click enter. This is your temperature, so 5 when pre-chilling. When you put your shopping in, just drop it down to 3 or 4, because sometimes it can freeze the shopping in the freezer box too far. So to about there, and ignite it, and that is your fridge freezer. Making sure that when you do travel, you've got a travel catch on the bottom there, so that stops that from pinging open. But when you are storing it, underneath the catch here, you want to leave the doors open, because it forms an airtight seal, and what will happen is the air trapped inside the fridge and the freezer will start to make the motorhome smell. So you want to get your little catch, put it into the hinge there, do the same on the freezer box. After you've given it a wipe out, some antibacterial spray and some wipes, just to stop any smells from forming in the motorhome. Air can circulate in and out when not in use, and you'll get no nasty smells when you return to the van. In the kitchen area, you do have 3 gas burners for the hob, but you will need an igniter because there's no built-in ignition on the hob, so you'll either need a clicker or a box of matches to light these. Pushing the catches in, you can release the doors, and you've got storage with a 12 volt in the cupboard there. Push the catch in for your travel catch, and you've got a cutlery drawer, large storage drawer for your pots and pans, and some more storage in the kitchen. This light works by pressing the switch here, as it's an LED strip underneath your upper. Across the back of the vehicle, you do have your washroom. So starting off behind these big mirrors, you do have your wardrobe and access from outside, where I showed you where your own and winding handle and your carpets were, so you can get access in here, which is great. Wardrobe with your TV aerial. So your TV amplifier, just leave it on, it'll go off with the main control panel, but if you do want to turn it off, there's a little switch just up here behind the pole, so you can turn it on and off. Green means it's got a signal, obviously orange means it's got a signal, but it's not that strong, and red means it's got a very weak signal, so you'd have to adjust the aerial. And that's just Michael there turning the main control panel off, showing you that it does go off with the main 12 volt system, so you don't have to turn that switch off, you can just leave it on. But making sure that if you are struggling to get a TV signal, you push the stem up, tighten it back up, and use the toggle to direct the aerial. So that will pivot the aerial side to side, front to back, just finding the best signal. When that goes green, you've got a good enough signal. But look where your other motorhomes and caravans are pointing on your site, and make sure that before you travel, you pull it in and you tighten the nut up, just to stop that wind from potentially damaging the aerial. Coming back to the washroom, so hand basin, that just so with the pump on, you get a lot of coughing on the hot side, and this is just filling the boiler with water. So don't think this is broken or anything's wrong, it's just because it's being drained down, it's just pulling it back through. It's pulling it back through the boiler. So start on the cold and then slowly make your way around to the hot, and it'll get a lot of air in because it's filling an empty space which is accumulated air. But you'll only need to do this once when you come back to reuse it, once it's been parked up for the winter. Or if you drain it down and you're still using it through the winter, every time you come back to the van. But in the summer, you've got no real reason to drain the vehicle down, apart from letting the fresh out and the waste, but you leave the water in the boiler. So there you go, it's coming through. So that's pressurised there. So once you've done one tap, you do them all. Getting onto your toilet. So your toilet works off the pump, so make sure the pump's turned on for all your water appliances. Press the blue button, which flushes the toilet. Put a small amount of flush in the bowl before you use the toilet, and then before you use it, you want to open the blade so you can see into the cassette, which is the grey lever here. Slide this to the right, do your business, flush the toilet, and close the cassette. When the cassette indicates it's full, you'll get 3 green lights going to a red light, which means it's full, underneath the diagram here of the cassette. And then you do have your large shower cubicle, so tie your shower doors back when travelling. Got a hanging rail for wet coats, wet towels. Put a couple of hangers on there if you've been caught walking the dogs in the rain. You can open the skylight if you're showering for ventilation, but make sure all skylights and windows are fastened securely before you ever think about driving off. And then when you winterise, if you just unscrew your shower head from the hose, lie this hose down in the shower tray with the mixer tap open. Leave all your taps open when you drain your boiler down. It stops any air from accumulating in the system and any water from sitting in any pipelines. So if you lift the cushions off the dinette seat in your lounge just behind the passenger seat, this is where everything is. So you've got your charger, so that's got the orange light on there, and what happens with that is when hooked up, that'll charge your leisure battery. So just leave that as it is. This is all your trips. So you've got your trips here, so if anything trips on electric, try here before you try your main site. And this is your 12 volt fuse board, so carry some spare blade fuses with you, just standard blade fuses which you can buy off likes of Amazon, Halfords, Eurocar parts. You can get an assortment of fuses, carry them with you just in case one does blow a fuse. You can take the fuse out that's blown and you can replenish the fuse. Boiler's at the back, so boiler obviously does 2 jobs, provides blown air and it also heats the water, so 10 litres of water can stay in that boiler at any one time. When we're experiencing colder temperatures, i.e. in the winter, so from any time from the back end of October, start of November to end of March, start of April, when we're experiencing cold temperatures, you want to make sure the boiler is drained off. Because if you leave water sat in there, it's parked in the storage yard, parked on the drive, and it does freeze, the boiler is broken and you need to you either need to fix the boiler or you need to repair or replace the appliance, which isn't covered under warranty, because it's your responsibility to drain it off. And to drain it off, just down here you've got a little yellow valve just here where my finger is. All you need to do is make sure that the pump's off when you do it, and just lift it up, stand it up on end and leave it open when you're not using it. The only time you need to flick it back down is before you fill it up to reuse it. So stand that up on end, open your taps, and it'll allow any water out of the hot and cold plastic pipelines. So just on the fascia of the seat, so we've been behind there where the boiler is, this is the controls for your water. So Ultra Store 240 heats water on mains electric, so if you want a site you can heat your water on electric instead of using gas. So you've got 750 watts at the top, or you do have 1800 watts at the bottom. So 1800 watt being the bigger ampage output on electric. So if you want a big site you can use that. So normal camping, caravan and club sites supplying a 16 amp feed, you can use that one. If you're on a smaller site you may just have to use 750 watts. So that's electric. However, if you are on gas, where the cover needs to come off, which you'd use if you're wild camping, you've got the temperature reading. So you've got 50 degrees if heating that 10 litres of water, or 70 degrees. And you can use gas and electric together if you're in desperate need of hot water. So the heating on this vehicle is a Webasto diesel heater. So you need to make sure that you've got a quarter of a tank of diesel or more in your main engine tank, as that's where the feed for the heater is fed from. And you can use this when travelling to keep your passengers in the back warm in the winter. So adjust the temperature here, 35 being the max temperature. To put the heating on, you just press the 3 wavy
heat lines, red light will come on and it'll start to heat the vehicle. Off's in the middle, and then should the van be hot enough and you just want to ventilate the air, you've got a ventilation button, and that'll just ventilate, goes to blue, and it just pulls the heat back in and just chucks it back out the various parts of the vehicle, front and back, to keep the heat that's already in the vehicle. But like I say, to put the heating on, you just press the top on. Quarter of a tank of diesel or more in the main tank for this to work, otherwise it won't work because it's on a different level, so it should never, and it won't drain your diesel tank.
To make the front bed, what you need to do is get rid of your cushions, just pull them out the way so the table can go down without catching them, so on both sides. And then if you just don't hold the key, hold the barrel, and it's electric, so you pull your table down, and get it positioned in there. So that's shut as it should be. That's down like so. And that's your table down. So now we'll show you how to arrange your cushion. And then using the backrest from here, popping that in there and pulling the base cushion forward. The long backrest, get rid of the short backrest, put that in the back. 2 base cushions forward. Infill cushion which can be found in the wardrobe. It's a tight squeeze for the infill cushion, but you do need it because there's a little gap otherwise. And that is how you make your bottom bed. And then your top bed, all you need to do is unfasten the buckle of the seat belt, press the button, and then just stop it wherever needed. So ladder would go in here if you're using it as a 4-berth. If not, you can bring it down, but take the tension back up on these straps, like so, and that's it in its lowest position. Remembering to take your pillows off. You can leave your duvets on if you're going to put it back up, but take your pillows off. And in the winter, when you winterize it, just don't have it too high. Drop it so the air can circulate around the mattress. With reading lights, which just tap on the end, and they'll come on when keeping the bed higher up. Along with your TV bracket and telly points. You can slide the TV bracket out, but always make sure it's clipped back into place before you start travelling.